Okay, let's be real. There's no easy way to sedate the discomfort that comes with joining a dating app. And I think it stems from how engineered the initial kickoff feels, which is essentially the app serving its purpose. The organic versus orchestrated debate around dating apps comes from this very vague idea of love, where people want romance to feel accidental even when the platform exists to make it deliberate. Romance have different schools of thought. Some people believe that you should go looking for love, and some people believe that you should wait for love to quietly arrive in your life. What is the golden ratio of acting detached and quietly hoping to summon yourself in their dreams? Is love bound by the rules of syntax and I said I love you first, or is it purely a feeling first phenomena? In his essay Liquid Love, Zygmunt Bauman describes the frailty of human bonds today and how the platformization of dating has reduced it to a recreational activity for most. He argues that modern society's fluidity makes human bonds fragile and relationships superficial, turning love into a consumer-driven disposable commodity. And this is how dating apps can feel for many, including myself when I used it back in 2023. As someone who considers herself a hopeless romantic and believes in the magic of love, the entire experience of searching for connection felt a little numbing. I did go out on dates and had a mixed array of interactions with people, but I think what really stood out to me was how emotionally grueling the process can be. I saw myself deleting the app multiple times and then re-downloading it hours later within the same day. Sometimes I'd end up matching with the same people I did before I deleted my account. And I think these behaviors are just unique to online dating, and that's what we're here to dissect and understand. Shelley Turkle, in her book Alone Together, describes technology's tightrope, where it allows us to be in relationships and protects us from them at the same time. On one hand, it enables connection through constant contact and instant reassurance, while simultaneously protecting us from the full weight of intimacy by letting us control timing, depth, and emotional exposure. We can reply later, edit what we feel, disappear briefly, and avoid the awkward silences or emotional messiness that comes with dating. Which puts us in an interesting Venn between wanting reassurance and proof that we are seen, wanted, valued, while also seeking protection from vulnerability, fearing rejection, misunderstanding, or emotional exposure. And I think this is very true for friends as well, who prefer dealing with like a confrontation or just having like a normal chat over text than in person or on call. And as a collective, we've grown to become very insecure in our relationships, but also anxious and wary about intimacy. In Eric Fromm's The Art of Loving, he describes people's participation in love as one of two things, which could be the act of loving and the act of being lovable. The act of loving is the selfless, active pursuit and yearning for companionship, whereas the act of being lovable is underscored with a sense of branding oneself. And this arguably varies across people's attachment styles and how they make sense of love. The platformization of life, as I mentioned earlier, is basically known as the growing influence of digital platforms in how economies work, how governments operate, and how people live, think, and behave. And this has reshaped industries, systems, and everyday culture around them. This very practice of platformization has streamlined and mechanized everything, from finding a house, selling a car, to now even finding love, which I find to be very similar to the conflicting sentiment of technology displacing our innate humane tendencies, and how people want tech to do the more difficult and assistive tasks in their life than to do the things that make life filled with whimsy and emotion for us. Dating apps operate on a behavioral surplus that's ruled by an algorithm, and I bet that didn't faze you. It's been said many a time, because if you think it's free, you are the product. All the constant typing, swiping we do on our phones has become almost ritual-like. Every time you scroll, tap, or zoom in on something, we're shaping how we see the world around us. We swipe away what doesn't interest us and zoom in on what does, which makes us feel like we're in complete control. And the phone ends up reinforcing the self-centered loop where everything seems designed to meet our needs. Roland Barthes once said that touch is the most demystifying sense, while sight is the most magical. Real beauty, he believed, demands distance. It's something we look at in awe rather than reach out and grab. But touch removes that distance. It turns things into the familiar, which is why art galleries have the do not touch sign, because while touching feels like a natural instinct, the rule shifts the experience from tactile interaction to emotional and visual contemplation, allowing a very deeper and intangible connection with a piece of art. The touchscreen does the same. It feeds what Byung-Chul Han calls a haptic compulsion, which is that restless need to touch, swipe, and make everything feel close, available, and ready to be consumed. Even the way we see the world has changed. It's become less about wonder and more about consumption. The world starts to look like a catalog of things to tap, buy, or experience instantly. The same finger that we use to order food or scroll through shopping apps carries the same mindset into other spaces. In fact, back in 2023 or 2024, there was an app doing the rounds online, and I think it was essentially a Tinder for clothes, and it showed how the familiar swipe action associated and borrowed from dating apps could be repurposed to carry the same emotional cues across contexts. In a way, it transposes the language of attraction and choice from people to products. This very idea reminds me of that one moment where you accidentally swipe left on someone's profile and try to get it back, and then you realize that poof, it's gone. But then of course there's always a subscription model that lets you undo the swipe, turning even regret or loss into something that you can buy back. It's a perfect example of how haptic compulsion has reshaped our expectations, teaching us that virtually nothing, not even chance or loss, should be out of reach. Dark patterns on dating apps are integrated to ensure that you stick around and spend as much time on it. These range anything from an endless deck of profiles with no natural stopping cue, engineered to keep you swiping because it's so frictionless. So you will reach a limit, but you'll never know when you reach it. There's also that false sense of scarcity where it's like, you're out of likes, wait for 3 business days or view it instantly by paying 700 rupees upfront. The next one being my personal favorite, which is the one where you can see a blurry silhouette of someone and it says, someone likes you, but you can't see who. And it's almost like a paywall that's driven by FOMO, so you pay up to see the people, the lovely, lovely people who might have swiped on you. Also, dating apps have an concerningly eerily smooth sign-up process, and usually this is to ensure a quick onboarding that skips privacy choices and also doesn't allow you to opt out of tracking, which is again very concerning. There's also this false equivalence of compatibility which claims better matches with premium plans without explaining how. So they will just tell you that if you pay up money right now, you'll be able to see who's better out there for you without explaining how they've gotten a measure of it. What I find very interesting about these dark patterns is that it's not just the behaviors that have become a consequence and byproduct of it, but it also has changed the game altogether, right? Mobile dating is much more than a means to an end. It is an end in itself. With Tinder, the pretext is to hook up with someone, say for example, but the real pleasure is actually derived from the Tindering process, which is why even if you do match with someone and go out and have a great time with them, you're likely to go back onto the app because you miss the touch and feel of it. And this, of course, has been translated across different dating platforms. But there is something interesting to be said about how dating apps assess compatibility, and this was like a personal nerd out for me to do because I didn't know that this actually existed. So you obviously have the base level compatibility scores which jot down your compatibility based on your age, your gender, location, interests, photos, political beliefs, etc. Some apps also allow you to add additional details like education, occupation, lifestyle choices, etc. And then you have the location based matching, the geolocation technology that's incorporated to enable users to find potential matches within a specific radius. So it actually facilitates IRL interactions. And then there's a feedback mechanism which essentially reads how users interact with other profiles, and the app learns more about the user's preferences and shows them similar profiles in the future. And the now ubiquitous swiping mechanism allows users to browse through profiles very quickly, right? Swiping right or offering a thumbs up indicates interest, and swiping left or offering a thumbs down signifies disinterest. And all of this interaction data is super valuable for training machine learning algorithms and fine-tuning the matchmaking process. And this in turn creates what is described as similarity scores. Algorithms analyze profiles and assign similarity scores based on shared interests, hobbies, and other relevant attributes. The higher the similarity score, the stronger the potential compatibility of these people. So there go all your stories of yin yang and opposites attract to determine compatibility, because dating apps just don't weigh that in. But what I found most interesting about this were how dating apps also analyze user behaviors to determine compatibility. So factors like response time, whether you text back immediately or in 3 to 4 business days, messaging frequency, the type of interaction, so whether you use emojis, voice notes, GIFs, etc. They all can provide insights into the level of interest and compatibility within users. And I think this might be the most relevant or like the most lucrative insight possibly, because then it actually pairs you up with people who quite literally match your frequency. Every progression in dating apps has been around giving users more autonomy. First, it was Tinder, which gamified dating as we know it. It made it a desktop-less, mobile-first experience, which just absolutely changed the ballgame. Coming in second is Bumble, which learned from women's experiences and feedback from using Tinder, most of whom got overwhelmed by the incoming messages, and gave women more control over their experiences by allowing them to initiate conversations first. Then came Hinge, which responded to the swipe fatigue. Instead of endless matching, Hinge slowed the interaction down by anchoring connection in prompts, answers, and very specific traits, by letting users like parts of a profile and start conversations with context, which I think is a pretty healthy beginning if you ask me. The baseline to all of these app developments and inventions is control, because we don't have that too often in real life or in something as predictable as love and searching for connection. There are of course some types of apps and platforms that are mainly web-based, such as Match, eHarmony, and OkCupid, because people seeking serious relationships naturally gravitate to web-based sites so that they can, sit on a desktop or a computer, screen through profiles before initiating a conversation with a potential match, having some degree of active intention. More the effort, more the intent, essentially. I wanted to leave this first part of the video. There will be a second part, because I know that this is one topic that has a lot of nuancing and a lot of debates and a lot of interesting conversations to be had around it. But I think the fundamental bit of it is that we have outsourced human connection to companies who profit from our failure to connect. And I don't fundamentally believe that there is a black and white answer to everything in life, much like this topic as well. It's just something interesting for me to study. This half explored dating apps from a very different lens, a little bit more cynical, if I may say so myself. The second one might be a little bit more hopeful, because I do think that you derive good and bad experiences out of it, and I know that both have worked out in its own ways for people and given them the realizations that they need. Thank you so much for watching and sticking through this video. On my last video, people were very vocal about their feedback. Some about the topic, which is fine, and some about the production value. Right now, we're just making do with what we have, and I'm trying to learn how to read a script without making it look like I'm reading a script. So, one day, hopefully. But yeah, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.